Prologue. October 16th, 1971, Pine Hollow, Maine. The phone rang only once before Deputy Miller picked it up, the sound echoing unnaturally loud in the tiny sheriff's office. Sheriff's Department, he answered, glancing at the clock. 2:13 a.m. There was a moment of static, then a voice, broken, frantic, whispering. "They're gone," the voice rasped. "All of them. I woke up and the town is gone. They're all gone." "Who is this?" Miller asked, already grabbing a pen. "This is Pastor Elijah Brooks," the voice said. "They came from the earth, from below the church. I told them not to dig. I told them." A sudden crash cut through the line, like wood splintering, and the call ended with a blood-chilling scream. Miller stood frozen, staring at the phone in his hand. A second later, the lights in the station flickered and went out. By the time the state police arrived at sunrise, the town of Pine Hollow was silent and no bodies. No blood, no sign that anyone had ever lived there. Only the church remained intact, doors wide open, and inside, carved into the altar with something jagged and deep, they whisper beneath, "Do not listen." Chapter 1, The Assignment. Present day, Boston, Massachusetts. Rain tapped gently on the windows of the Boston Ledger newsroom, a steady rhythm that seemed to echo the hum of late-night exhaustion. Most of the office lights were off, save for the harsh fluorescence above Merrill Hudson's desk. She sat hunched over her laptop, rubbing her temples, trying to finish a lukewarm piece on a recent city council meeting that even she didn't care about. Her editor, Tom Granger, approached with a manila folder in hand and a strange look on his face. "You're wasting your talent on pothole politics, Merrill," he said, dropping the folder in front of her. "Gee, thanks for the vote of confidence," she muttered. "Open it." Inside were old black and white photographs. A main street with cracked pavement. A church with boarded-up windows. A rusted sign barely legible in the grainy image. "Welcome to Pine Hollow." "What is this?" Merrill asked, flipping through the pages beneath the photos. Newspaper clippings, notes, police transcripts, an old ghost town up in Maine. Pine Hollow. Vanished in 71. Whole town, gone overnight. No bodies, no suspects, no explanations. Merrill raised an eyebrow. "Why now?" Granger leaned on the edge of her desk, voice low. "A hiker went missing last month near the ruins. But before that, he posted some photos online. Looked like the town's still intact. But it shouldn't be." She hesitated. "You're sending me on a ghost hunt?" "I'm sending you on a feature," he said. "Halloween special. Weird America. Cursed towns, lost places. Give it some color. But yeah, unofficially, dig deep." Merrill looked at the last photo. A blurry image of an old wooden church. The doors wide open. Someone, barely visible in the shadows inside. She closed the folder. "I'm in." As she packed her camera, notebook, and recorder into her bag that night, she told herself it was just another story. One trip, 2 days, maybe 3, then back to reality. She had no idea that Pine Hollow was waiting, and it had been waiting a long time. Chapter 2, Arrival. The next morning, northern Maine. The farther north Merrill drove, the fewer signs of civilization she saw. The roads narrowed into cracked, winding paths hemmed in by dense pine forest. Her GPS lost signal 2 hours ago. No phone service. Just trees, mist, and an occasional rusted road sign pointing toward forgotten towns. The last marker read, "Pine Hollow, 3 miles." Someone had spray painted over it in red, "Don't look back." She pulled over at the edge of a ridge and stepped out. The morning was unnaturally still. No birdsong, no rustling leaves. Just wind whispering through the trees like it was carrying secrets. From the overlook, she saw it. Pine Hollow. The town lay nestled in a shallow valley, cloaked in mist. Time had seemingly paused there. Houses stood where they'd always been, dilapidated but whole. A few old streetlights. A gas station, its sign swinging gently though there was no wind. And in the center, the church, tall, weather-beaten, its steeple cracked. Merrill took a photo. Then another. It shouldn't be this intact after 50 years of abandonment. By noon she crossed the invisible line between forest and town. Her car tires crunched gravel as she coasted down the empty main street. She passed a diner frozen in time. Menus still visible in the window. She thought she saw movement inside, but when she looked again, there was nothing. The radio in her car crackled. She frowned, turning the knob. There shouldn't be any signal here. A voice whispered through the static. She's here. Merrill slammed the knob off and stared ahead. The mist had thickened, clinging to the buildings like smoke. The street behind her had vanished completely. She couldn't even see the forest anymore. She parked in front of a two-story house near the church. According to her research, this used to belong to the town's pastor, Elijah Brooks, the man from the 1971 call. The front door creaked open on its own. Merrill stood still for a moment. Her breath misted in the cold air. Then she smiled to herself, trying to shake the tension. "Okay, Pine Hollow," she whispered, lifting her camera. "Let's see what secrets you've been keeping." She stepped inside, and the door slowly shut behind her. Chapter 3: The Voices in the Well. That night, Pastor Elijah's house. The house smelled of dust and decay, but it was intact. Oddly so. Furniture remained. Books sat untouched on crooked shelves. A coat still hung on the wall by the front door, as if its owner might return at any moment. Merrill moved cautiously, taking photos, recording notes. The air felt heavier here, charged with something she couldn't name. Every creak of the floorboards under her boots sounded like a whisper, like something else was walking just behind her. Upstairs, the bedroom was clean but strange. The bed was perfectly made. A crucifix hung above it, but it was flipped upside down. She didn't sleep that night. Instead, she set up her sleeping bag downstairs, where she could see the front door. Her recorder clicked beside her. She hoped to capture ambient sounds for her article. Creaking walls, wind, that kind of thing. At 2:16 a.m., the recorder picked up something else. Whispers. Faint. Layered. Indecipherable at first. Then, she's listening now. Below. Bring her below. Thirsty. 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 Merrill bolted upright. The room was freezing. Her breath clouded in the air, though she'd started a small fire in the hearth hours ago. The recorder still clicked along, the red light blinking. But now it made no sound, just silence. Then came the knock. Tap. 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 She turned toward the front door. The knock came again, but not from the door. It was beneath her. She grabbed her flashlight and crept toward the old rug in the center of the living room. Pulling it aside, she found a trapdoor. It was heavy, the wood swollen with time, but it creaked open. A narrow staircase descended into darkness. At the bottom, cold stone walls and old wooden shelves lined with rusted cans. But the sound wasn't coming from the cellar. It was coming from the far corner, where a small well sat, built into the floor. Old rope dangled from a pulley above it, but the bucket was long gone. A heavy chain lay coiled beside it, stained dark brown with time. Merrill leaned closer. The flashlight beam disappeared into the black. No bottom, just shadows. And then the whispers returned. This time, louder. Come see. Come see. Come see. A gust of cold air rose from the well, blowing her hair back. She stumbled away, heart pounding, breath shallow. Her mind screamed to leave, but her body was rooted in place. The flashlight flickered. She heard scraping now, like nails on stone. Something was climbing up. She slammed the trapdoor shut and threw her weight on it, heart thundering in her chest. Nothing followed. Not yet. She didn't sleep the rest of the night. The recorder clicked. The whispers never stopped. Chapter 4. The Pastor's Journal. Next morning, Pastor Elijah's house. By dawn, the whispering had stopped. The house was silent again. Too silent. Meryl made coffee on her portable burner, hands trembling as she poured. Every creak of the old floor made her flinch. She'd replayed the recorder's audio over and over, but the whispers were gone, erased, as if they had never existed. She didn't imagine it. She knew she hadn't, determined to find something, anything, that explained what she had heard. She began to search the house more thoroughly. Most of the drawers were empty, but in the upstairs bedroom, she found a small locked chest beneath the bed. It took her 20 minutes and a tire iron from her car to crack it open. Inside was a leather-bound journal. The name etched inside the cover. Pastor Elijah Brooks, 1969, 1971. The first pages were typical. Scripture references, prayer lists, town gossip. But as she flipped deeper, the tone changed. February 3rd, 1970. Something lives beneath the church. I've heard it at night, like children playing, laughing, but no one is there. April 22nd, 1970. Mr. Graham dug a new well near the chapel. Water tastes bitter. He says it's fine. I don't trust it. The dreams have begun. July 19th, 1970. The children have stopped speaking. They just stare, eyes black in the sunlight. They smile too much, too wide. October 1st, 1970. I told them to stop drinking the water. I begged them. No one listened. The thing beneath speaks now, even when I'm awake. Meryl's hands trembled as she read the final entry. October 15th, 1971. The night before, tomorrow it will take them. The whole town. I tried to warn them. It only wants those who hear, those who listen. I sealed the well, but the church is the mouth now. The door. The whispering doesn't stop. I will face it. If I do not return, let no one ever come back to Pine Hollow. She closed the journal and stared at the ceiling. The church.it had been standing in the center of town all this time. Waiting. A knock echoed through the room. Not from below, from the front door. Meryl grabbed her flashlight and crept downstairs. Through the cracked window, she could see the outline of someone standing on the porch. A woman, thin, pale, wearing what looked like a hospital gown. Her back was turned to the door. Meryl opened it slowly. "Hello," she called. The woman didn't turn. "You need help? Are you hurt?" Still no movement. Then the woman whispered, without turning her head, "He's watching from the church. He knows your name." And she vanished into the mist. Chapter 5. The Mouth of the Church. Later that day, Pine Hollow Church. By noon, the mist had thickened again, swallowing the street outside like a slow, creeping tide. Meryl stood at the edge of the churchyard, journal clutched tightly in one hand, camera slung across her shoulder. The front doors of the church were wide open, just like in the photographs. Darkness gaped inside, thick and unmoving. Something about the building felt wrong. The air around it was colder. The birds, absent. The trees leaned away from it ever so slightly, like they were trying to escape. She stepped inside. The pews were covered in dust, some overturned, others still upright. A thick red carpet stretched down the center aisle, leading to the altar, and behind it, a wooden pulpit split down the middle by what looked like claw marks. The air was musty, but underneath was something else, wetness, like damp earth and rot. She turned on her flashlight and scanned the room. That's when she noticed it. The back wall, where the cross should have been, was gone. In its place was a gaping black opening. A tunnel. Rough, jagged, like it had been clawed through stone and wood by something not human. She stepped closer. The floor around the tunnel was cracked and sunken, as if the earth itself had caved in. And around the edge of the hole were dozens of small handprints, children's handprints, pressed into the soot-covered stone. Some were smeared. Others were clawing outward. Her flashlight flickered. For a split second, it illuminated writing scratched into the wood beside the tunnel. The mouth opens only for those who listen. A rush of cold air blasted from the tunnel, and Meryl staggered back, coughing as the scent of decay flooded her nose. And then the whispering began again. This time, unmistakably close. Dozens of voices. All around her. Closer. Come below. He's still hungry. Bring your voice. Bring your thoughts. Meryl turned to run, but the church doors were gone. Just solid wall. No exit. No windows. No light except her failing flashlight. The whispers grew louder, no longer hidden or gentle. They screeched and laughed, some sobbing, others giggling in childish tones that turned her blood to ice. She dropped the flashlight. Its beam spun wildly across the ceiling, and then she saw them, figures, crawling along the walls and ceiling like insects, emaciated, pale things with hollow eyes and mouths that opened too wide. Their fingers scraped wood. Their heads turned in jerky, unnatural motions. They were whispering with her voice, repeating her thoughts, her fears. It's not real. Meryl screamed and ran down the aisle, back toward the tunnel. It was the only way out now. And as she stepped inside the blackness, something cold and wet brushed her hand, grabbing, guiding, pulling her forward. The mouth had opened, and it would not close until it was fed. Chapter 6. Below the Hollow. Unknown time, beneath the church. The tunnel sloped downward at an impossible angle. It felt like walking into the throat of something alive. Walls pulsing faintly, slick with moisture, the air thick and metallic like old blood. Meryl's flashlight was almost dead, flickering with every step. But she couldn't stop. The tunnel wouldn't let her stop. Every time she hesitated, the walls seemed to close in, breathing down her neck. She followed the sound of water. Or maybe whispering. Or both. It was impossible to tell anymore. After what felt like hours, the tunnel opened into a cavern. And there, at the center, was the well, the real well. Not the one in the house. Not the fake sealed version upstairs. This one was ancient, built from black stone that shimmered like oil in the light. Symbols carved around the rim pulsed with a faint red glow. Meryl stepped closer. Shapes moved beneath the surface, not reflections. Too fast. Too many limbs. All around the cavern, figures stood motionless. Silent. Watching. Dozens of them. Townfolk. Children. Adults. All pale as ash. Eyes sunken. Mouths open in frozen screams. Their faces twisted, but familiar. Meryl recognized some of them. From the photos in the archives. The missing people. The residents of Pine Hollow. They were still here, but not alive. Not exactly. Her eyes were drawn to the far wall, where an altar had been carved directly into the stone. A book lay open upon it, pages fluttering though there was no wind. She stepped forward, drawn by something she didn't understand. The journal had warned her. If you hear it, it already knows you. She reached the altar and touched the book. The whispers screamed. Images flooded her mind. Flashes of Pastor Elijah, standing in this very place, crying out in prayer as shadowy hands reached for him, of townspeople marching into the church with smiles on their faces and black ichor leaking from their eyes, of the well cracking open like a mouth and something enormous crawling out, and then her own face, surrounded by whispers. She brought it back. She tore her hand away, heart slamming in her chest. She turned to run, but standing in front of the tunnel now was Pastor Elijah. Or what used to be him. He was tall, skin stretched tight over bones, face half consumed by darkness. His eyes glowed faintly red. His voice was layered with dozens of others as he spoke. You heard the whispers. That was your sin. Meryl stumbled back, shaking her head. No, I didn't choose this. Curiosity is invitation. The ground trembled. Cracks split the cavern floor. The well opened wider. From it rose something massive, a shape that defied logic. Too many limbs. No face. A mouth that spiraled endlessly inward. It radiated hunger, and when it opened its mouth, all the dead in the room screamed in unison. Meryl ran for the tunnel, but the path was gone, stone. Solid. No escape. Elijah raised one hand. You will speak for us now. You will listen. Forever. And then the whispers entered her ears, not from the outside, but from within, flooding her thoughts, pushing her out, replacing her. She dropped to her knees, screaming. Chapter 7. The Girl at the Edge of the Road. 3 days later, just outside Pine Hollow, Tom Garrett was a long-haul trucker who'd driven through dozens of ghost towns, but nothing about Pine Hollow sat right. The town wasn't on his GPS. No cell signal. And the road had turned to cracked gravel miles ago. Still, he kept driving. He didn't know why. Something in his head whispered, just a quick detour. 5 minutes. Check the place out. The sun was dipping low, painting the horizon in blood-orange light. As his truck rounded a bend, he slammed the brakes. A girl stood in the middle of the road, barefoot, pale, wearing a dusty flannel shirt, hair tangled, eyes empty. She didn't flinch as the truck screeched to a halt just feet from her. Tom threw open the door and jumped out. Hey, you okay? She didn't answer, just stared. And then, very slowly, she held out a hand. A small, black recording device sat in her palm. Dusty, scorched around the edges. Still blinking red. Tom hesitated. Where the hell did you come from? The girl whispered, It's still down there. Then she turned and walked back into the trees, vanishing without a sound. Tom stared after her, unsettled. Finally, curiosity won. He pressed play. The first few seconds were static. Then, breathing. Then, a woman's voice. Scared. Rushed. Frantic. This is Meryl Davis. If anyone hears this, don't go to Pine Hollow. Don't listen to the voices. Don't drink the water. It speaks through you. It knows your name. A pause. Then, whispering, layered, impossible to separate. But growing louder, louder, until the voice changed, deeper, inhuman. Thank you for listening. The recorder exploded in Tom's hand and he screamed and fell backward, clutching his palm. It wasn't burned, but the skin where the recorder touched had changed. Darkened, hardened. He scrambled back into the truck, threw it into gear, and sped down the road to eye in the rearview mirror. He saw the edge of Pine Hollow. The mist was rising again, and the church, its doors were open wide, like a mouth, smiling. Chapter 8, Welcome Committee. Same night, Pine Hollow city limits. Tom didn't stop driving until the mist swallowed the rearview mirror completely. He didn't know how long he'd been on the road. His watch had stopped, and the truck's dashboard clock blinked uselessly at 00:00 that he needed gas. A phone. People. Finally, headlights glinted off a crooked wooden sign. Welcome to Pine Hollow. Pop zero, he slammed the brakes. What the hell? He muttered. He'd left Pine Hollow, hadn't he? He stepped out of the truck, breath fogging in the chill. Same cracked pavement. Same leaning power lines. Same boarded-up buildings in the distance. But now there were people. Shadows. Moving behind windows. Faces peering through glass. And a sound. Low. Vibrating, that whispering, that it was coming from everywhere at once, surrounding him like a fog of voices, none louder than the others, but all speaking in unison. He turned back to the truck. That it was gone. Just gone. Like it had never existed. His heart thudded in his chest as he stumbled backward, only to bump into someone behind him. He spun. That it was the girl. The one from the road. Up close now, he could see her eyes weren't empty. They were full of movement, tiny black shapes swirling inside them. She smiled, not kindly. You're home now. Behind her, more people stepped from the mist. Men, women, children, some with blank faces, others with too many teeth, some missing eyes, some only eyes, all smiling, all whispering. Tom ran. That he sprinted down the main street, past collapsing buildings and rotting street lamps. No matter how fast he ran, he never got closer to the edge of town. That he tried alleyways, dead ends, tried climbing fences. They looped back to where he started. Finally, breathless, he stumbled into a familiar place. The church, still open, still waiting. But this time, it spoke to him, not with words, with memory, flashes of things he had never seen. A woman screaming inside a cavern, a journal burning, a hand reaching from a well, Meryl's face staring back at him through darkness, eyes wide and filled with something else. Then his own voice echoed around him. Thank you for listening. His knees buckled. The whispering turned into laughter, and somewhere deep beneath the church, the well pulsed once more. Chapter 9, Echoes in the Deep. Below the church, that same night, Tom didn't remember walking inside. He didn't remember descending the stairs. All he knew was that he was deep below the church now, beneath the floorboards, beneath the graves, beneath the bones. The air was warm, wet, breathing. The tunnel sloped like a spiral, drawing him downward, step by step. His fingers brushed against the walls, sticky and pulsing with something that moved beneath the stone. Like veins in a living body, he could still hear the whispers, but now they had form. They weren't just sounds, they were faces. They bloomed like mold from the walls. Pale mouths, twisting in agony and ecstasy, moaning in perfect unison. That he passed them all. And when the tunnel opened into the cavern, the well was waiting, black, bottomless, beating like a heart. The people were there again, lined up around the edge, eyes open, smiling. Meryl was among them. Her hair was damp, stuck to her face. Her mouth hung open. From it came the whispering. But when she saw Tom, something behind her eyes sparked, just a flicker of awareness. A warning. Her lips moved, barely. You still have time. But he didn't believe it, because behind her, something was rising from the well. The it wasn't a creature. It was more like absence, a shape made of void, an unbeing. It had no form until you looked at it. And then it was too late. It wore no face. But Tom saw hundreds of Merrill's, Elijah's, his own. The figure glided toward him, whispering directly into his head. You heard us. You remembered us. That's all we needed. Tom backed away, but his feet stuck to the ground. The stone floor rippled, holding him like flesh. One voice is all it takes. One echo. One seed. The creature reached out. No hand, just shadow, and touched his chest. Suddenly, he was standing at the edge of the road. The girl in flannel was handing him the recorder. The truck was idling behind him. The world spun, and then went silent. Tom stood frozen, heart pounding, eyes wide. He was back. Back on the road. Back before it all. He turned and ran to his truck, climbed in, floored the gas, and sped away. But the whisper had already started. From the passenger seat, he turned his head. Merrill was sitting beside him, pale, smiling, whispering. Chapter 10, Static Silence. 2 weeks later, nowhere in particular. The audio file began circulating online anonymously. Just a random post on an obscure forum. Found this near Pine Hollow. Do not listen. Attach file. Last_tree.wave. Most ignored it, but some didn't. A podcaster played it live. A curious college student ran it through audio filters. A bored teen with insomnia fell asleep with it on repeat. They all heard the same thing. Breathing. Then the voice of a woman, shaky, terrified. This is Merrill Davis. If you're hearing this, I'm sorry. You've already let it in. It lives in sound, in memory, in the spaces between thoughts. A pause. Then, static, but not normal static. It moved. Some listeners said they heard their names. Others said they blacked out for hours. A few posted strange drawings afterward, spirals, teeth, eyes that bled from the corners. The file was deleted from the original post less than an hour later. But it was too late. It had already been copied, remixed, shared, heard, downloaded, echoed. Somewhere in a motel outside Wichita, Tom sat on the edge of a bed, staring into a cracked mirror. His eyes were red, skin pale, voice gone. He hadn't spoken in days. He didn't sleep, didn't blink, didn't move. The motel manager said he just showed up one night and paid cash. When she knocked to check on him, he didn't answer. She opened the door. He was still staring, and behind him, in the mirror, something else was watching. Something with no face, just a mouth, opening slowly. Whispers poured from the TV. Though it was unplugged. Final report. Audio Forensics Division. Subject. Last_tree.wave. Frequency patterns fluctuate beyond human vocal range. Layers exceed standard recording capacity. Reverse analysis reveals hidden phrase. We are listening now. Epilogue. The church remains empty. The doors never close. The well never dries. The whisper never ends. Because now, you heard it too.